Welcome to Office Hours by Triple X Church. I'm your host, Carl Thomas. I'm a pastor, certified neural health coach, and a guy who frankly struggled with a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about today for over 20 years until I found freedom about a decade ago. In today's episode, I am going to be jumping in and answering this question. Where can I find some free accountability groups to join? That's what I will be discussing today, so make sure you hang in there with me. Recognize that no questions are ever off the table, and I'm going to be as honest with my answers as I can be, so please don't get offended. Without any further delay, let's jump in. Okay, so this question came into our office hours page. Hey, you don't know me, but I have been struggling with porn addiction ever since an early age. I am married now with 2 kids, and I'm 28. I have been at Jesus' feet asking him to take this away from me countless times. I also have Ever Accountable on my phone, a program that watches what you do on your phone daily. But I need more than that. Are there some free accountability groups out there somewhere because I want more accountability in my life? I need to talk to other men and women for the purposes of accountability. Could you point me in the right direction? All right, so honestly, we get this question a lot in some form or another, not just in Live Free Community, but via email, all sorts of places. Ultimately, this comes down to the basic question, how can I find more accountability? This is something that a lot of guys struggle with, and women, when they download accountability software, because the software is easy, it's cheap to buy, but they don't know who to talk to. And that's the problem, right? They have no accountability. So that's why we have places like the Live Free Community, where you can find a community of other men also dealing with the same thing and hopefully build some accountability relationships of your own. In terms of, before I get into where can I find free accountability groups, you said one thing in this that I thought was, that I really want to comment on. It says, hey, I've been at Jesus' feet multiple times asking him to take this away. And clearly that's not working. So I see this happen with Christians a lot. And I get it, right? Because God says, hey, throw your cares on me. There's all sorts of verses that talk about our reliance on God. So that just seems like the natural thing to do, right? I can't get rid of this, so I'm just going to ask God to take it away. Why isn't he taking it away? Which then, of course, creates all sorts of questions and doubts about God. Does he really love me? Does he really care about me? Why is he letting me struggle? Like, it can get really complicated and confusing, right? Understand that, in my opinion, 99% of the time or more, so 99.9% of the time, God doesn't work that way. Not when it comes to this, okay? Generally speaking, when guys say, hey, I'm throwing myself at Jesus' feet and asking him to take this away, what that really kind of translates to is, I don't know what else to do. I'm tired of fighting, so I'm asking for help. And while God does want us to come to him with our concerns and with our needs, that doesn't mean he doesn't want us to put in the effort and do the work. In fact, I heard this a long time ago by Doug Weiss, Dr. Doug Weiss. He was on some TV show, but he was talking about the prodigal son and said, hey, you know what? The prodigal son went away. He spent all his dad's money, and then he was ready to come back. But you know what we don't read in that parable? The father didn't send out a limo to go pick the kid up out of the pig fields and bring him back. No, the son had to come to kind of his senses and realize what he had done was messed up, that he needed help. And then he took the very long journey back home on his feet. You know, they didn't have trains and cars back then. But can you imagine? He was already starving and he had to walk all the way back to his dad. The whole time, also probably wrestling with and processing this. I wonder how my dad's going to react. I'm just going to be a servant. That's going to be weird. Like, there is a lot of work involved, right? Before he got home. And then once he got home, his dad was like, hey, man, I've been here all along. I love you, and celebrated and accepted him, right? And that's kind of the same thing here. We have to do the work. So yes, we need accountability. That's one of the things. We also might need to do some counseling. We might need to read a book or do a course, right? We need to be in some sort of community on an ongoing basis. So yes, groups are good. The Live Free community could be very helpful, but there's a lot of stuff we have to do on our end. And then if we do that stuff, yes, it's going to help, and God's going to help create change in you. That's what happened with me, right? He didn't tap me on the head with his purity fairy wand, right? No, I had to do a lot of work, and it took years, but eventually I found freedom. But I give him all the credit because there are, quite frankly, aspects of my recovery that are head scratching. It's like, I can't believe that I can do these things now and not be triggered. It's pretty crazy because there were many, many years where I never thought that would be possible. Now, as far as your question about where can I find a free accountability group, I got news for you. Um, there might not be a lot of free accountability groups out there. Sometimes your church might have some sort of accountability recovery group. Don't see that too often, and usually they're pretty small. There are ones like SA and SSA, like 12-step groups. I am not a 12-stepper. I believe you can go there for free, but usually I think there's a cost for some sort of materials. Obviously, you could put together your own accountability group with your own group of friends, but I'm assuming that's probably not something that you fancy on doing because you're asking us about it. Maybe you just don't know enough people that you feel like you can be honest with. So my suggestion is, well, first of all, mention it again, Live Free Community. We have a group of men. It's not a weekly accountability group, but it's an accountability-based community where you can interact and deal with lots and lots of people. And it's not free, but it's only $5 a month. That could be good for you. We also have something called Small Groups Online, which is weekly video meetings with the same 8 to 12 men. That's $30 a month, and you get free Live Free access. Yes, again, it's not free, but it doesn't cost a whole lot for what you get. And here's where, that, hey, don't get offended comes into play. If this is important to you, then there shouldn't be a tremendous avoidance of investing in your recovery. Okay, I understand a free accountability would be great. I mean, a free accountability group would be great, but there's also nothing wrong with a paid accountability group if it's good, okay, and it's going to help you. And I'll be honest, I've also kind of run some accountability groups or recovery groups from my home in the past, and they were free. And the investment of the guys, there were a few that were really hardcore and they were there every week, but a lot of the guys would just show up whenever they felt like it because they had no skin in the game. It was, well, it's there whenever I want it. Maybe I'll go this week. Oh no, I have something better else to do. I'll go out tonight. But when you're actually investing, like financially investing in the process, you're going to find yourself a little more committed to it because you don't want to waste your money. I mean, it's just a practical thing. So I would say, look at one of those things. Live Free Community, Small Groups Online. That would be great. And again, you can always put together your own accountability group or look into some 12-step groups. So hope that is what you were looking for. If you have a question for me and you want to ask it, go to triplexchurch.com/office-hours and ask your question, and I will answer it in an upcoming episode. Until then, I will see you next week.